pretty sure I could do 5 or 6 episodes of Coast to Coast Pinball, all based on the day I just had. I may, in time, do that. I don't know, I may not. But I do know this. It was a long day. It was a good day. Episode 88 of Coast to Coast Pinball. Let's go. Welcome to Coast to Coast Pinball. My name is Nate Shivers. I am a man out of quarters, and this is a commentary and a podcast, or some order of those three things. I'm exhausted. And we're coming to you not quite live from Tacoma, Washington, site of the Northwest Pinball and Arcade Show. I am staying at the courtyard across the street from the Greater Tacoma Convention Center. What a day. So I got in early today for this show, sort of in the midst of a work trip, and doing a little run over here to see some pinball stuff. And I was a little panicked coming in Saturday and missing Friday because there's a lot of stuff going on Friday that I wanted to see as well. And this show has been hyped up to me by people who've attended in years past as a growing show and a good show and a fun show. And I thought the list of people coming was going to be strong. There's speakers I wanted to see. Wasn't really sure about the actual games that were going to be here. That was sort of the wild card to me. I didn't know. I heard reports, people saying 80 games. I heard 150 games. I heard too many arcade games. All this, all that. And the reality was, somewhere in between. There's a lot of games here. There's some good games. There's some really nice games here. I will tell you that the folks that have brought games, and from what I understand of the Northwest Pinball Show, they go and pick up a lot of the games. They usually use like big trucks to go to you and pick up the game to bring to the show, which is sort of unique. You don't bring them and unload them here. And a lot of these games that are in this hall right now are just in phenomenal shape. Lots of mods, lots of LEDs. I don't know. I'll post more pictures, but just know that there's. We'll go through some of it as we go. But I kind of want to give you the highlights and the lowlights of Saturday at the Northwest Pinball and Arcade Show.
Highlights and lowlights.
All right, I moved my flight up to get here in time because Jersey Jack was speaking at noon, so I had to get up here in time for that, and I was really glad I did. Jack is. We all know what he's doing, right, with the company and the history as a distributor. But let me tell you about Jack. This guy is having the time of his life, making his living and spending his days working in the pinball industry. He's so excited about this. He loves getting up in front of people and talking about his company, talking about the games. Listening to him just sort of be in awe of the fact that he is here in 2014 building pinball machines is pretty cool. It's nice. It's nice to hear. There's no burnout in Jack, and I like that. Jack did not break any big news today. I think I have the audio from Jack's keynote speech, and I may post it. I may not. I want to kind of listen back and hear how it sounds. Maybe tomorrow. Maybe on my flight tomorrow. But I'll give you the rundown of what Jack was talking about today. Obviously, he's trumpeting the Wizard of Oz. They're still selling Wizard of Oz machines. They're still shipping Wizard of Oz machines. Jack made the statement, and I don't know if everyone in the room caught it when he said it, but he said that he really appreciates the customer base he has and how patient they've been. And he said, I don't even know if I could be a customer of my own company. And he said there's some very patient people out there waiting 2-3 years for a game. So he's very aware. He's very thankful. And he is very happy with where they're at with Wizard of Oz. He did show off some artwork from the Hobbit playfield. He had the entire Hobbit playfield on his iPad. I did not see it. I didn't get a chance to talk to Jack. I was sort of running all over the place. But he did show little clips of it. We saw a couple corners of it. I posted one of the corners, some rollover lanes with Gollum kind of staring at you. on my Facebook page at Coast to Coast Pinball's Facebook page, that is. So you can see that. He seems real happy with where that. He said they've made some changes. They took out the upper left flipper. It's an up kicker now. He said he's very happy with how that's going. He was just recently in Chicago to see some of the work being done there. Sounds like a lot of the design side stuff on his games is coming out of Chicago. He also posted a photo of him and Pat Lawler. He claims that Pat Lawler's game, which they did not give us a title for, he just said it's a modern, I want to say, I'll have to go back and listen to the audio. I think he used the word space age, maybe? A modern, classic Pat Lawler game, but with a modern twist built on the Jersey Jack platform, something to that effect. And he said he got to see it, and he said that Pat's game is nearly as far along as the Hobbit game. Both are in Whitewood stage right now. He said they're going to build a dozen Hobbit games in September and get those up and ready and beat on them and see what goes wrong and what happens. And then Pat's game will follow sometime after that. And he's sort of still working out how he's going to run the purchasing side of Pat's game. That question came up. And he said that he would like to get away from doing LEs. He said the limited edition thing is overdone. That came out of Jack's mouth. And that he wanted to do a special edition instead. And so his idea there is something along the lines of, instead of there being 1,000 limited edition Pat Lawler Jersey Jack games, there would be a time frame where if you buy this game or commit to the purchase plan, which might be a deposit and then a final payment, but if you buy the game in this initial time frame, you're going to get the special edition. And it'll be an unlimited amounts. Anybody that orders in that time frame can get all the special edition features. He also said he'd be protecting people's claim on numbers. So if you got number 13 of Wizard of Oz and number 13 of The Hobbit, you would also be guaranteed to be able to get number 13 of the Pat Lawler game. So he said that he thought that was important. He also said he wanted to reward people who have bought his previous games and give them special upgrades or special add-ons of some sort. He did not get any specifics of what those could be, but he's definitely looking to retain customers. And, people who are buying $7,000, $8,000 pinball machines, a lot of those people have lots of disposable income and will keep spending it if they feel like they're getting their money's worth and they're part of something. And Jack, I think, realizes that, as he should. So that's good. Jack's one of his employees, I believe his name was Butch. Is that right? Am I right on that? Was there to show off the updated 3.0 Wizard of Oz manual that they've worked really hard on. It's now live on their website. You can download the manual. It's like a 360 or 380 page manual for this game. Massive. Jack said our game weighs more than any game has recently. It weighs like 350 pounds, and our manual is giant too. So there's scoring layouts, there's parts and board diagrams, there's hyperlinks in the manual that go straight to websites. It's pretty cool. They've put a lot of effort into that. The manual's also in the game. Like, you can actually call it up on the LCD screen. There's a new update for the Wizard of Oz coming out. I think he said next week, 2 weeks, something like that. There are some scoring updates. There are a bunch of bonus features that programmer Keith Johnson did not want to give away. They're also adding the ability. There's some monitor output ability things he was adding in, so that I think you could basically plug a larger monitor into the game, is how it read to me. I think it's going to actually scale better at a higher bit rate or frame rate, or resolution maybe is the word I'm looking for. That the graphics would be even sharper and clearer after this update. One kind of odd thing, which I guess makes sense, especially for games on location, the update was going to allow you to be able to upload images, I guess via thumb drive, into the game to use as sort of like screensaver-esque type pictures on your game. So if you're running, a game on location and you have specials at your location or pinball tournaments you want to advertise, or sell advertising on your pinball machines that pop up while the game's not being played, hello, business opportunity. I can't be the only one that's thought of that. that will now be available to you. So that's kind of cool. So he very much said that he's not asking his programmers to write more updates for the Wizard of Oz. I think he feels like the Wizard of Oz is fleshed out and pretty complete. He said that is what they love to do. That is their passion, and he's not going to stop them from doing continued work, tweaking, bug fixes, etc. So as long as the community, I think, that owns Wizard of Oz is out there and giving feedback and being vocal, if there's things that need to be addressed, it sounds like they're going to address them, which is great, which is really cool. Every time I see Jack talk or hear Jack talk, as much as, and he showed pictures of like Slash and some other famous people with Wizard of Oz machines and kind of made the little comment, I get, Slash didn't feel the Wizard of Oz wasn't manly enough of a theme. And it's not that to me it's not manly enough. I don't have some big macho ego thing going on with Wizard of Oz. I just don't particularly connect to it. It just doesn't strike a chord with me. However, the story of the company and all that, it does, and they're going out of their way to fix lighting issues. I saw someone approach Jack after he was talking and said, I've had some of these lighting issues you've been talking about, and Jack was like, hey, Butch, get his contact info, let's get him, and the customer was like, no, you guys are already doing it, I'm talking to you guys, don't worry. But Jack's just one of those guys, he wants to, service his customers. It's great. It's good to see. It's good for the industry. It's good stuff. So that was kind of the first thing I did. I got to the show. I ran in. I said hi to everyone that I knew, which isn't like a lot of people or anything. And then I went and watched Jack talk. My buddy in front of the show, Mark, whose last name is Zarnowski. Yeah, I don't want to pronounce that wrong. Who got me involved with the Midwest Gaming Classic. He helps out organizing and running parts of the Midwest Gaming Classic. He's here helping out with one of his friends' booths. He and I have been hanging out a little bit today, and as I'll get into dinner tonight. So definitely came and saw Mark, and then saw what he was doing. Then I tried to play some games, and I got to say, there were not quite as many pinball machines at the show as I sort of had hoped. Probably about what I expected. The quality I thought was pretty high. Big, nice convention center, though. Lots of space, so you're just not up on top of each other. If they'd had 50 more pinball machines in this show, it would have been freaking awesome. As it stood, I think it was really good. And that's good, too. So I almost felt like the tournament area was sucking up too many good machines. I saw some machines over there that I just was wishing were out in the free play area. But as it is, I got to play some games today. I played... What were the highlights today? There's a No Good Gophers here that is in fantastic condition, and it has this crazy it's blue. Everything on it is blue. Blue legs, blue leg protectors, blue LED lighting just covering it, washing this game in blue. Probably too much, realistically, but it does look cool, and it's really attractive to the eye. And then some of the orange inserts sort of pop out off the blue really well. So I kept kind of going back to that, and I played that game quite a bit. I played Rocky and Bullwinkle. That was really good here. I liked that. Played Mustang Premium. I don't remember if I played the Premium or the LE. They had both there at the Marco booth. And... the game it's fast, it's fun. I played a 2-player game with a complete stranger, and he and I battled, and I think we ended up within like a couple 100,000 points of each other. It's interesting. It's a fun game. I'm over the drop targets in the middle for some reason. That's not turning me on right now as far as a pinball experience. But the game's it's bright and colorful. I kind of like that they have this weird sort of minimalistic modern art take on the Mustangs and the back glass and the side of the cabinets. It's just different looking. I kind of like that. It sets it apart. Not a game I would rush out to own, but if somebody put a Mustang Pro in my house, I'd be fine playing it. It's definitely, it's cool. And the premium, the limited editions with the turning cars, it's neat. If you're at all into that theme, it's probably really awesome. I'm just not that into the theme. The game plays fun, though. It plays fast. It's kind of a hard game, I think, myself. I kind of like the up and down ramp things that Trudeau put up in the upper left side. I think that's pretty cool. So, it's good. That's all I'll say about it. It's good. Highlight of my day, though, and it's funny because I was just talking on an episode a few episodes back about, why I'm buying America's Most Haunted. And I did see a Ben Heck sighting today, by the way. Didn't ever talk to Ben. We saw him real briefly. And I pointed out the fact that I've played everything in the top 50 a bunch, on Pinside's ranking games. I've played all those games. Then I scanned the list real quick and realized I haven't played Congo. I'd never played a Congo. Never seen a Congo in person. Well, they had a beautiful Congo here. There is a pinball LED company who I believe is Pinball. Oh, it's so bad that I don't remember the name of their booth. I'll get that for the next episode. But it's oh, that's bad. I was really trying to remember that. Pinballbulbs.com? I don't remember. Anyway, there's a bunch of vendors, and I confuse their names. I'm sorry. Buy advertising. I don't remember your name. But there's no advertising to buy, so you have no hope. Just kidding. So this pinball LED company has a bunch of games, A-list games, Tales of Arabian Nights, Medieval Madness, Iron Man, good stuff, with all their LEDs in it. They all look great. They have a Congo there, and it's beautiful. Green trim all the way around, lots of green LEDs. Just a beautiful game, and I stood in line and waited, and I hate standing in line waiting for pinball machines to play. I hate it. And I did it today, and the guy in front of me was just killing this Congo machine. And, slapping the game, rocking the game, doing really well, and got just short of 1 billion points. And I was kind of like, wow, I got to follow that dude. I was like, good game. And he goes, nah, not really. So it's one of those games with really high scoring is what was going on. But he did have a really good game. However, I'm here to tell you I had a slightly better game. I scored just over 1 billion after getting a couple multi-balls and a free ball. So that was good. I liked Congo. John Trudeau design with a lot of interesting layouts. I learned today that was not his original design for Congo, and he had to fight for his original design, and he lost. And it was just described to me by somebody who would know as the original one was too good. And I don't know what that means exactly, but I do know that those days at Williams, there were some politics going on, and it's interesting stuff. So, in any case, the Congo that did come out with the upside-down creature from the Black Lagoon insert in the middle of it is actually a pretty fun game. I've heard that the rules aren't terribly, terribly deep, but interesting shots for sure. I liked it, especially with all the green LEDs. It just looked really great. So that was a lot of fun. That was probably my game playing highlight, was playing that. Did play a bunch of other stuff. I went to war with my friend Mark tonight, like after 11 o'clock. The show closed at 11:30 tonight. And so we got back from dinner, which I'll talk about soon. After 11 or right around 11. So we went on let's play some games, and we played some 2-player games. And I'm here to tell you I went 0-3 against Mark, but that's okay. More on that later. So also this afternoon, speaking at the show, probably what I was most excited for today was Mr. Mark Ritchie. Mark had, followed his brother Steve into pinball design. And I think there's always been some competition between those brothers. And, I could hear, I heard 2 different people during the question and answer part of Mark Ritchie's talk today call him Steve. So clearly there's that living in the shadow of Steve Ritchie thing going on a little bit. Mark doesn't do a lot of these things. You don't hear a lot from Mark Ritchie. And it was really great hearing him talk about his career and the games he's designed. Gary Flowers, who works with Jim Shelberg at the Pin Game Journal, kind of hosted this symposium, and it was great. They had a slideshow of all of the games that Mark had done, and they went way back to the early days, and it was just really interesting seeing his take on things and him calling flops, and him calling games he loved, and you see how proud he was of some things. One of the big design things, when you think about Mark Ritchie games, especially later on, you think of the crossing wireforms. He was pretty famous for that. And you think Taxi, Diner, Fishtails, and that continued on. Kingpin, right? So Mark obviously left Williams and went to Capcom and became the head engineer, I think he termed it, because he had signed an agreement with Williams not to take a job with a competitor in the same exact position. So it was really good to hear that. I have all of that audio, and I think his talk was well over 45 minutes. I'm going to post that as a show on its own, sort of as a bonus show. I'll probably have that out in the next day or two. But I think that that's definitely worth a listen, even without the visuals. Maybe pull up Pinside or the Internet to Pinball database as you listen to that talk with Mark, and go through those photos with it. I'm pretty sure the Northwest Pinball and Arcade Show videotaped these, because I know they were streaming the shows live. Those videos are very likely up on their website, and you might actually be better off just watching them there if they're available. But I will put the audio up just for historical sake on Coast2Coast Pinball's RSS feed, so that'll be popping up on people's podcast catchers soon. Really enjoyed hearing from Mark. I wish somebody had asked him. Maybe I should have asked him, but I get quiet in these things. I'm not there to hey, look at me, I'm Nate from Coast2Coast Pinball, I have a question. That's not me. I kind of hang back and observe and talk to people later. I'd love to know if he misses designing pinball, if he'd like to design pinball again. That's kind of what I would like to know. And I'm glad he was there, and his wife was there, and I think it was a really nice time for him. So that was good to see. It was kind of cool seeing Steve come in and listen to Mark give a talk. So I enjoyed that very much. So one of the most talked about aspects of the shows, the pinball shows lately, has been the rise of the boutique builders and the small build games, as you will. And that is really not the case up here in Tacoma at the Northwest Pinball and Arcade Show. There are a few homemade games here. I would not call these boutique build games. I would call these homemade games. I saw, and I'm not exaggerating, this is not hyperbole, I saw sparks coming off of slingshots today on a homemade game. That's a fire hazard. So, however, I think there is sort of a pretty cool little sub-story going on with a couple of guys here who are displaying and showing at this show, and that's from Fast Pinball. And if you've been following any of the WPC 2.0 authorized by Planetary Pinball discussions and whatnot, you can see that a lot of that's based on using the Fast Pinball platform board set. And I guess I didn't have a full grasp and understanding of exactly what exactly these guys are doing. And I went and talked to them today at their booth to try and get a better understanding. And Dave and Aaron were very, very kind to go through it with me. And I think I got it now. So I'm going to play this interview from the show floor, and I hope you'll enjoy it and listen to what these guys are doing, because this product is going to open up a lot of doorways for people to add functionality, add rule sets, deepen a game that might be shallow, sort of like what Dutch Pinball's doing with Bride of Pinbot 2.0, but this could be done, I think, a little easier and more accessibly. I'm not a programming type, so a little of this goes over my head, but this board set allows you to take full control of a WPC game, and it's pretty neat. They showed me on the fly when I first walked up and started talking to Dave, who does the programming. Within 10 seconds, he rewired the coil for the left slingshot to fire when the start button on the game was pressed. It was pretty cool. And then he typed "Hello Nate" into the alphanumeric display. Took just a couple seconds. Just kind of showing me that their board gives you access to be able to do all these things. So yes, that will help do the sort of 2.0 versions of some games. But I think the bigger takeaway point here, if you will, is that people who dream up a game or envision a game, say a guy kind of like a Scott Gullix with Wrath of Olympus, and I don't know what Scott's doing exactly with Wrath, and I think he's building that thing. I think that's going to happen. I don't know the full story there, but somebody like that who designs a game maybe virtually or maybe draws it in CAD or whatever, or has that vision and has no idea, how am I ever going to make that thing? How am I going to make things actually work? Because pinball machines are just so many aspects. And one of them is, programming things to happen when other things are, set in motion. I think this board can now give a lot of that power to a designer. So anyway, here is a peek into the world of fast pinball. All right, hello. We are here at the Northwest Pinball and Arcade Show, which I am pointing up to the banner so I remember what it's called. I'm in the Fast Pinball booth here with Dave and Aaron, who are partners and owners of Fast Pinball, and we would like to sort of demystify what's going on with Fast Pinball, as their board set has become a subject of talk on the interwebs, as they're laughing at me right now. So, first of all, guys, you're local here to the northwest corner of the country in the Seattle area, correct?
Correct.
All right, good. All right, you guys have described yourselves as Dave does the engineering and the tech side of it. Aaron is the idea man, the pitch man, the salesman.
Whatever else it takes, yeah.
Exactly. All right, I appreciate that. So, if you guys could just give me sort of a brief overview of how did you end up designing a board set that's kind of being aimed at a pinball machine, and B, what's your history with pinball? So how did that tie together?
Well, I mean, for myself, getting into working with pinball, I mean, it sincerely came out of I've been doing the day job, running my own business for 15 years, and needed the mental challenge. Want to get back to creating and building things. And working with pinball games, repairing my own games and things, and seeing the community kind of building and creating new customs and stuff is I want to be able to do that. But of course, anything else I get involved in, just tinkering with it for fun. My wife jokes that eventually you turn all your hobbies into a business. So of course, the idea of taking it further and making a solution that worked for other people was why not do it? And so being able to work with Dave, I mean, it's I don't know, I joke how the hardware is just so badass that it's great to see that you can create a platform that's solid that other people could build upon, And so I don't know, you can talk about something.
And for me, it started for me in elementary school. I'd always hang out in the arcades, and I always wanted a machine. My dad at an early age bought a machine and restored it with me, and it started the career I never looked back on. Every time I could, I repaired them in college. I bought some when I started a business, and own 27 of them now and just love it. I wish I had more room.
You have 27 games.
27 games, and everyone always asks, what's your favorite? And I don't know, it changed every year.
Well, I keep finding out that he's got 3 more stored with his buddy over here, and his neighbor's got 2, and I've got one of them at my house, or the office, so they keep coming out of nowhere,
That's great. So you guys kind of made reference to seeing other projects happening with either small builders or maybe bigger builders who are doing maybe rule changes or redesigns or ground up games, and you guys thought, hey, we could possibly create a better foundation for all of these projects. That's sort of what you kind of bore out to be Fast Pinball.
Yeah, and I think that when you look at what attracts people to making their own game or custom game, it's not how well it's wired up and what's used to control it and all these things. So you see these designers and artists and game programmers going, I've got to just get to this point before I can get to up on top of the playfield and making my game.
And do the creativity
and all.
Yeah.
So we figured that if we could standardize what some people call the boring part, which I'm totally cool with, make the communication, everything under the hood as strong, as simple as it can be. Then you're up on top of the playfield and playing with it faster, And I think that that's one of the things that, when I look at the frustrations and challenges people have in making a game, it's not it doesn't look as cool as I want it to be, or the layout isn't what it is. I can't quite get my flippers working right, or I don't understand how to hook this stuff up right. We can give a good starting point that says if you follow these kind of best practice designs, plug our hardware in the right way, and you're up on top of the playfield for probably the same price as buying a bunch of random parts all over the place and cobbling something together, and the time it takes to research it. So really want to get you up on top of the playfield as fast as possible.
All right, so we're standing here in front of a fun house that's, top is open. We've got your board in place of the main CPU board back there. My name is on the alphanumeric display, which is awesome.
Never forget it now.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, that's how you guys know who I am. Dave was telling me about the processing upgrade that we've had in 15, 10, to 24 years later, 25 years later. Give me those numbers real quick on the upgrades we're kind of giving a designer the ability to take control of here.
Yeah, I mean, I'm amazed. The original processors in these things was a 6809 running at 2 megahertz. And it's running a dot matrix display, 128 by 32, It's just, the guys were gods of like coding to sit there and make all that stuff work. I mean, they had to have loved it, because with that few CPU cycles, I mean, you have to sit there every millisecond. You have to be at the same spot in the code. You have to set the next set of lights to be turned on, the next digit on the display, scan the next row of switches. I mean, you know, you had to be that exact same spot every single time, or you'd see glitches in the machine. So all the coding they had to do, it was fantastic. Nowadays, with modern processors being so inexpensive, man, we spared nothing. It's like, throw lots of processors in there. We have a 1 gigahertz processor running the main game, and then we have a whole bunch of companion processors, each running at 48 megahertz. One of them's running the I/O of the game, which is all the lights and the display, a regular display. But if you have like a dot matrix display, we have another controller running that. And if you're running some RGB LEDs, we have yet another 48 megahertz controller running that. So hardware on steroids.
So this is where we start going down the road of somebody looking at a funhouse and going, I love this game, I love this playfield, I wish it had, I don't know, a DMD on it. And this is something you could possibly do, and there's already talk about it happening, and it's coming to life.
Yes.
Yeah, I think that, like, we've been talking with our friend Kevin from Skippy Pinball, and, getting to know Kevin a lot better and being able to talk about what we're doing with the hardware. And as a pinball designer, be like, what would you do with something like this? Be like, I would like to do a fun house with a DMD, And he sent us a video just the night before our talk. He's like, I made you a video, you should play it in your talk, And it was a shot of, him talking about, how Funhouse is a big changeover, and pinball changed from this point on. And he wanted almost like in a way like kind of pay homage to Rudy and like bring it back to light, or bring it back to life. And so he sent us a video of Rudy kind of chatting, and then it faded away and turned into DMD art and eyeballs watching and stuff like that. And it's cool to see that you can take a game like this that you care about and you've seen for a long time that meant something to you even as a kid or as a pinball player, and go, what can we breathe new life into this form factor here? And again, because the layout's fun to play, it's got a lot of cool stuff in it, but eventually you get the game figured out, and it's not as maybe it's not as new and fresh. But the idea of being able to put in new code and run a new game inside, that's really what our hardware's been able to open up. Rick and Matt from Planetary Pinball were able to go back to Williams and say hey, we've got a piece of hardware that's going to be able to deliver this stuff and protect the IP and everything like that. The way you're so afraid of it getting out there and set free in the wild, it's actually like a means of delivering that. So what we try to do is, because we try to systematize and standardize as much as it would take to deliver games in a way that creates a hardware-software combination. Standardize as much as we could, so that the only variable in a release like that is what's the code that's running, what's the IP that's needed to be licensed to do it. So that way, in a situation like a 2.0 game, there's a fixed set of opportunity. It's going to go into how many games were ever made, subtract how many were no longer in existence, subtract even further the people that wouldn't want to modify their game at all, So it's a very finite set. So it's truly like a hobbyist passion kind of pinball thing, And that's where, we feel really fortunate that like Rick and Matt were willing to go, okay, we came up with a proposal that we submitted to them where it's we think this will make this an easy process for you, and we can create a means that will, people use our hardware to deliver this, and then they can work out with you what the licensing stuff is. That's the licensing and IP stuff. That's not bound to our hardware really at all. We're almost like just the means to deliver it. And I think that for Rick and Matt to give it the time of day, to listen to people and their crazy ideas of breathing new life into their games, it had to be something that they could say, well, if you do it on this hardware, yeah, we know that's been pre-approved. It's good to go. And now let's talk about what license and what properties you want to have access to make this game. So it makes it more approachable from the designer standpoint and less of a hassle for the people who have to actually make those decisions.
How far along in the actual production cycle are you as far as having a board that's ready to go and sell and package? And
so we're thinking end of July?
Yeah, as far as everything's functional at this point in time, but we're talking to all the developers playing with this and people helping us out, writing all the high-level software in there, all of the libraries and all that.
It's just really putting it through the motions right now.
So they've come up with a couple suggestions still they want in there, and they're really minor changes that kind of make the pipelines look bigger to write this up faster. So yeah, we have just a little bit of cleanup in there, and then it always, I know Aaron gets really excited because you see it so close, but then our manufacturers say, hey, 6 to 8 weeks, and he doesn't ever believe that. It's like when we're going to see the real board. So whenever we decide, I think it's probably going to be in a week or two, I want to test everything fully before we go to those final boards. but then it's probably going to be 6 to 8 weeks from that date. But we are close.
And so the main important thing there is we're trying to make sure that the hardware, the way that you communicate and work with it as a developer, isn't going to change. We want to make sure that those key hooks that people who've actually been playing with the hardware say, man, if it just did this, I wouldn't be bottlenecked on anything else. So it's making sure that their input gets factored in, so that basically that standardized interface stays the same, and it stays the same for a while.
Now, okay, so we're talking about possibly people doing reworked versions of existing games. We're talking about developers building new games using this as their platform to actually lay out the shots, the design, the code, quote unquote. Do you see a market for the home guy who owns a game that he would love to just like hack on his own and rewrite his own set of rules? Is that?
I think it'd be awesome.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
We have so many people coming to the booth that always say they had a game idea or wanted to change a game in this way. And everyone always seems so intimidated by it, but usually, I'm not kidding you, some guy came here and he's almost like telling me the language he programs in and turning his head at the same time. I program in Visual Basic, It's almost like he didn't want to tell me, right? He's embarrassed. But I showed him how the protocol works, and I said, yeah, Visual Basic will work great with this. All you do is open up this driver in Visual Basic, and man, it's almost like he grew 3 inches that day. He's like, I'm going to go home and do this, and it's just, I love to be able to energize people that way. They get excited because you see that it's not that intimidating.
Yeah, no, for sure. Like when we were in Texas, we were talking to one guy, and like his wife is standing next to him. And he's talking about hardware. He's getting kind of excited about it. He kind of walks away, just kind of skipping along. And she turns to us and goes, "Thank you so much." For giving him the time of day. But it was great because like these people go like, I can get to this if I.
Oh yeah, there's smart
interface.
People out there with lots of ideas who maybe just don't have the right tool.
Well, you open up a pinball machine, it's like, oh my god, what do I do with this? You put it back down and just keep playing with it.
I hear there's more wiring in one of these than a Honda Accord. That's what I hear.
I heard it was like either half a mile or a mile of wiring.
Something like that.
And it's one of the things we're actually addressing. We address that because all the wiring always went to the back box, and now we think, wire is expensive. I mean, it is, and it's a pain. I mean, they always have those wire harness boards. They had to pull out the pegboards. So now we're trying to put all the wiring into the play field right where it needs to be, right next to the controller. So if you look at it the more modern way we're trying to do it, our controllers mount right underneath the play field and are very small.
So do you guys have a price in mind for this guy?
Yeah, right now the main board, we're looking at a price of $299 without the BeagleBone Black on it, and we're going to do the BeagleBone Black at the cost. Right now, cost is going up on it. We haven't got the new price yet, but yeah, we're not going to try to make any money off that.
Yeah. Or just a convenience thing, because again, it doesn't require it, but it's something that like, if you're out there trying to pick one, conveniently this one seats right into it,
Right.
So it makes it easy. And by being able to offer those through, it's basically just a pass-through, like a convenience thing. But yeah, they just moved the price up on them, so I mean, I think it's settling out like $55 a piece now.
Gotcha. So. Well, awesome. Well, Aaron, Dave, I wish you guys absolutely the best of luck.
Awesome.
And as we get closer to maybe production, maybe we'll talk to you again.
That sounds
Excellent.
awesome.
All right, thank you guys.
Thanks for your
All right,
time.
thanks.
Amazing day, really great day. I finally got to meet Todd McCulloch in person, former NBA star, current pinball star, really good dude. Todd is just one of the nicest folks you're going to meet in this hobby, and this is a hobby full of nice people. What a great guy. I mean, he's invited me and Teresa to come over and check out his game room, which is sort of legendary up here in the Northwest. And legendary maybe everywhere. I know Todd is sort of... known in a lot of circles as just, a guy with a fantastic collection of games. So very cool to meet him in person because he's, listened to the show. And I've been actually emailing with Todd for almost a year now, on and off. So that was really cool. He was over there helping out with the tournaments. He's really into the scene. Another listener of the show who I've emailed with, Josiah, walked up and started chatting with us. And before it was over, Todd was like getting his info because he's trying to, get everyone local together and grow the community, grow the hobby. That's awesome. So I really enjoyed that over there by the tournament section, talking with Todd today. Mark invited me to dinner tonight. So Mark said, hey, Rob Burke from Pinball Expo wants to go to dinner at this Italian place. John Papaduke's going, and you're invited. And I'm like, oh, I am? Really? That's kind of big. And he goes, you interested? I'm like, yeah, I'm interested. I'm in. Let's do this. So I've never even met Rob Burke. I know who Rob Burke is because I know about Expo. But, Chicago Expo, it's like the original pinball show, and it's going to have its 30th birthday this year. So Rob's here attending this show, checking things out, and he has his son with him, and his son is going to probably be running the world someday, I'm fairly certain. His son's name is Jaden. Jaden gave me his business card. Jaden Burke wanted to buy pinball machines, working, non-working, any condition. Jaden's going into the 7th grade, and he has a business card with his photo on it. So he is ahead of many of us. So met Rob on the fly. Mark introduced me to Rob, or John Papaduke introduced me to Rob. It was awesome. John Papaduke, by the way, is going to come on this show. That's going to happen. I've confirmed that with him, and I'm very excited about that. We're going to do the blowout, big, full-on, this is your life John Papaduke episode of Coast2Coast Pinball someday. That'll happen. But I had a fantastic night. I'll just give you some of the brief overview of this because I got to go to bed. But I heard some stories tonight, and I don't really know what's on the record and what's off the record. And I'm always a little hesitant to go out to dinner and then hear all this stuff and then just start running onto my show and telling you. But I will tell you this. I think John would have no problem in me saying that John will not be building a KISS pinball machine production model of his own. Things have changed with that. That license is no longer available. ... Cue big organ music. Dun dun dun. Or something like that. Don't think John's real pleased about that. I think it's too bad because he had this fantastic prototype. And I was encouraging him. I'm like, John, still use that idea. They had some cool ideas with the way he had the truss lighting and stuff on the KISS machine at Midwest Gaming Classic. Do an original band. Do this band. Do that band. Whatever. So, you never know. John's a creative guy. He'll come up with something. John's excited about designing games, man. Listening to him talk about games, he's still got a lot of love for it. John knows his John Papaduke, man. I mean, you talk to him about pinball, and he's just got this wealth of history. He loves it. He's lived his life in it, basically. The stories from the Bally days and the Williams days are just kind of unbelievable. Sitting there talking to him about it. Can't wait to have him on the show. Rob Burke, what a guy. I mean, world traveler. I mean, he's traveled the world for his personal business. Super avid pinball collector. I think at home right now they have something like 70 pinball machines, I believe he said. Huge collection. And he is, still excited and trying to put on the best expo he can. He was running off some ideas for guests and speakers this year at Expo that sounded great. He and I are working on a concept for Coast2Coast Pinball at Pinball Expo to do, on the fly interviews with people who are there because it's such a a trade and industry heavy show. I got to hear the story about how Pinball Expo came to be back in 1984. It was sort of born out of a bunch of guys in an Ohio pinball club they were meeting once a month, and they decided to just do this show for all the pinball collectors around the country. And he made this great point. He said, they went for years as really the only big pinball show. And Rob went around to all the manufacturers back then. I guess there was 4 manufacturers back then: Bally, Williams, Gottlieb. 84. So Game Plan, I forget everyone he listed. But anyway, he went around to everybody and kind of got them all on board to take part in this. And that was super interesting, hearing his stories about that. But, this was just a bunch of guys who really loved pinball and wanted to put on a show. And so they were the only show for a few years. And then he said it was really weird. 3 or 4 years in, these guys put on a show in Arizona. And it almost was like, how dare them put on this other show? Which he now realizes is sort of silly because there's a show every month, sometimes multiple shows every month now, which really is odd if you think about it, because in 1984, pinball was a heck of a lot bigger than it is now, but now there's all these shows everywhere. And I guess you probably attribute that to the fact that the industry has changed. I think that Rob and everyone else at the table tonight, Mark and John, would admit that back then it was this big thriving business thing where you're putting games out to make money, and now you're selling games to collectors as much as you're putting them out to make money in some parts of the world. So, but anyway, listening to Rob kind of give the history on how that all started and how, Expo 1 was sort of it. They thought that they were done. They put on this great show, and listening to the names being dropped from back in those times with, Alvin Gottlieb and Steve Kordak and all that. It's just really cool. And he said that he started getting calls about 6 months after. Goes, hey, so when's the next show? And he's like, what do you mean next show? It one and done, baby. And 29 years later, here we still are. So I can't thank Rob enough. Not only I think he bought dinner tonight or something. Actually, no, I didn't pay for all my dinner, so somebody bought dinner. Thank you guys. We had a great dinner. Jaden was like Mr. Yelp. He found us this great Italian restaurant in Tacoma. It's good stuff. So what a fantastic night listening to really great stories from Rob. Great insight and great suggestions. One thing about John Papaduke is he's funny because he's a celebrity in this world, in this pinball world, like a big celebrity. He's designed some of the greatest games ever. Theater of Magic, Chelsea Arabian Nights, Circus Voltaire. I mean, just some fantastic games. But when you talk to him, he's very often thinking not about himself or not about what he did, but, he's giving me suggestions for the show. He's kind of leading me into the conversations with Rob. And it just shows you that he's a good guy. He's a good dude. He's interested in the hobby. I think he's on some level interested in me because I'm interested in the hobby. And then he sees that as a good thing. So I think I really like, I wouldn't say I have this connection with John Papaduke, but I will tell you this hanging out with him tonight. Really good dude. I like him. I hope his games get out quicker. I want to see these games that he's been working on. I'm really excited to. So anyway, enough about that. Just this is just me being sort of a pinball fanboy right now. I had dinner with Rob Burke and John Papaduke tonight. So that's pretty awesome. At least I got that going for me. And I got to thank Mark for kind of making that all happen. Mark himself, Mark is like, dude, talk about a guy who's living it. Mark operates 10 games out on the road, has 10 games on route that he's, out servicing, making money on, trying to make money on, keeping going. And now he and some friends and family members have opened an arcade, a pinball arcade in Joliet, Illinois. And we'll talk about that a little more when I have all the notes on it in front of me. But it's the Chicago Street Pinball Arcade. Mark's going to be like, dude, that's not what it's called, if that's not what it's called. But I'm pretty sure that is. I'm actually Googling it because I feel terrible if I don't know. He didn't buy advertising either on this show, but he did drive to dinner tonight. The Chicago Street Pinball Arcade in Joliet, Illinois, just opened. Like literally just opened. It's on the Pinside map of where to play. JolietPinball.com will give you their website. I think 24 games. They're only doing weekends right now, just while they get up and running. I think they have bigger plans down the road. So if you're in that neck of the woods, and that's like a suburb of Chicago. So if you know where Joliet is, if that's in your striking distance, and you want to play some pinball on the weekends right now, sounds like there's some great games there. So thank you, Mark. Thank you, John. Thank you, Rob. And thank you, Jaden. Had a great night out there. And then there was the after dinner. Mark and I got back to the show with about 30 minutes to go. And I said, what are you doing? He goes, well, I guess I should play some pinball. And I said, yeah, let's go play some pinball. So this is where I was going to take Mark around and show him all these games and beat him. I was going to play my best pinball, and I was going to beat Mark at pinball. So I looked for the first open game that wasn't, zipper flippers. And I found Elvira and the Party Monsters. I don't really know that game all that well. I've not played a lot of Elvira and the Party Monsters. Played it a few times. Played Scared Stiff a bunch. But don't know Elvira and the Party Monsters all that deeply. But I know how to lock balls to get multi-balls. So I thought, I got this. I got this, right? So after 2 balls, I was winning. And I had it. Golden. I was winning. Life is good. And Mark beat me. That's okay. He got multi-ball going on his 3rd ball. I did not. I choked my 2 locked balls away. He beat me. So I thought, all right, fine. You beat me on Elvar. And then he even says, he goes, yeah, I've got one of these I've actually played a lot. I'm like, all right. He's cheating. That's fine. Whatever. So I said, what's next? Let's play another game. Because in my head now I got to beat him extra bad at the next game. So we went across the aisle, and there was a troll doll, and there's some colorful wire forms, and it's Roller Coaster Tycoon. Another game I've not played a whole lot, but I figured, Mark probably hasn't either. Who has? Who's played a lot of Roller Coaster Tycoon, right? So I jump on it, and I launch my ball, and I have a pretty short ball, and I'm like, yikes, that wasn't good. He goes, yeah, I know this game pretty good. And I'm like, man, really? And he did okay, and I did okay. And then I was winning again. After 2 balls. Played my 3rd, not so great, but I'm winning. And then he got multi-ball on his 3rd ball and kicked my butt. So I'm now 0-2. That's not good. So I had to change it up. I had to, fix this. So I went over to where the brightly lit, overly LED'd games were, over by that blue no good gopher that I was telling you about. And there it is, wide open, waiting for me. Attack from Mars. And I'm like, I got this. And I hear Mark say, oh, too many LEDs. And I'm like, yeah, that's it. I'm going to blind you with this game. I will beat you because you can't see the play field. And so on my first ball on Attack from Mars, I got to almost 1 billion points on my first ball. And I know that's not some crazy high score on Attack from Mars, but at 11:25, after a big Italian dinner and after being up for 19 hours and being sort of tired, I thought that was pretty darn good. And Mark was like, whoa, and just kind of shook his head and got up, and he scored 180 million. So I'm sitting at 960 million or 920 million or something, and he's at 180 million. So clearly I've got it this time. I'm going to spare you all the gory details, but on my 2nd ball, I had an air ball, and it jumped up and wedged itself beneath the nether regions of one of the aliens. And when the ball search kicked in, and it was looking for my stuck ball, the alien just looked like he was bouncing on the ball and laughing at me. So I finally got it unwedged, and it drained straight down the middle. Not cool. After that, Mark saved most of the Earth from aliens, got an extra ball, had a bunch of multi-balls, earned a replay, and I played some no-good gophers while he just destroyed that Attack from Mars. He's pretty good. I've always said I'm just sort of a hack and I'm average. Mark's pretty good. So I went 0-3 tonight. Not really proud about that, but it is what it is. Maybe I'll get some revenge tomorrow. Maybe I'll challenge him to a rousing game of Nip It, or a rousing game of other random EM that I don't recall the name of. Just kidding. So anyway, really fun day. I mean, man, awesome day. I'm actually going back to the show tomorrow. I fly out in the afternoon, so it opens at 9. I doubt I'll be over there across the street at 9 a.m. I'd like to think that I will be. Don't know if that'll happen, but I want to get some more photos, some more video. I want to try and play the Mustang Premium and Limited Edition again. I got some other stuff over there that I'd like to check out. So that's kind of my plans. There, Jonathan from Pinball Magazine is here. I saw him right at the end of the night, talked to him briefly. I'm going to try and get him for the show tomorrow. We'll talk to Jim Schellberg again, see what he's been up to, get him on the show tomorrow. I don't know who else is still going to be there Sunday. Sometimes people are clearing out and leaving. So we'll try and get some more interviews and stuff for you. I will post the audio from the talks that I heard today in the next couple of days, so those will be up for you. But other than that, there's probably more to come out of this. I can tell you I know things now. Cryptic messages and stuff. I can tell you my guess on the next Stern Pinball release was not correct. But I can't tell you what it is. You'll see soon enough. Anyway, this has been Coast to Coast Pinball, episode number 88. You can email me at Coast2Coast Pinball, and that's the number 2 in between the words coast and coast. at gmail.com. So coast2coastpinball@gmail.com. Like us on Facebook. Follow us on Twitter. Until we speak again, take care.